and welcome back to Grace's neighbor Sharon, and welcome to sunny Central Florida. Thank you for clicking on my video. Welcome to my new viewers, and welcome back to my loyal subscribers. Let's get to crafting. This video is part of the 4th Friday Open Challenge hosted every month by Lisa from Our Grey House and Sarah from JUJUBEE DIY. More about that later on in the video, but for now, let's get into crafting. Okay, so project number 1 is the Hello Fall Words mini wreath. And here's some of the supplies I use, and not shown is the traditional fall color leaves. So I just like to set everything out and see how everything goes together, make sure sizes and colors don't clash or anything like that. So this was kind of a fun part of the project, is just sitting there for a few minutes making all the little curly cues for the pumpkins. I decided that they needed a little more character. After I was done with that, I grabbed some of those traditional fall colored leaves. No purples or blues or anything this time, just orange, red, and yellow. I had originally painted the words a celery with a brown distress, but I didn't like it at all. It was very muddy looking, so I went back in and it's like a fall yellow color that I painted it. I dry fitted the leaves after that, and then when I was happy how it looked, I went ahead and glued them in, trying to keep the glue to the stems. Just, you know, if I wanted to redo it or rearrange it, but also just, you know, for looks. Once I got the part of the wreath covered that I wanted to, I glued a couple little leaves on the edges of the little sign that the words are going to go on. And that sign is just some corkboard cut to size. I got my words on there, and I thought I was happy with how it looked, and I went ahead and glued it. But I do fix it up off camera because it's on there a little bit crooked. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put my little pumpkins on. And this project was kind of inspired by those little pumpkins because I bought a whole bunch of them. And I'm nearing the end of my fall projects. I still had a whole bunch of them. So we're going to use a few up here. And these are all burlap. I got some faux leather ones as well, but I stuck with just burlap for this project. And this is all just hot glue. This is like a hot glue project. Except for the end here, I'm going to put a little bit of wood glue just because I felt like cork on that wicker kind of wood. I might benefit from a little bit of wood glue. But then I finished it off with hot glue, so you would be just fine with hot glue. At the end, after I'm done with the glue, I do wrap the wreath in a little bit of Dollar Tree twine. It's not super noticeable, but I felt like, I just felt like, I don't know, like it was holding things on better and more of a wreath to have something wrapped around it. And of course it fits perfectly because we did our dry fit, and so we knew that it was going to be all right. And there you have it. I'm going to fix up the sign a little bit off camera, and I'll give you a better look at the final reveal. Jumping in here with more information about the playlist. It's hosted every month by Lisa from Our Grey House and Sarah from JUJUBEE DIY. This month's guest host is Annie from Indie Annie Jones. Show these ladies some love. I'll have their channel links in my description box, as well as a link to the playlist. Now let's get back to crafting. Okay, project number 2 is a Harvest Wishes sign. And I'm thinking like warm colors and traditional shapes while I'm making this. We're going to start with this coastal decor sign, and I just love the shape of it. I took the fish off the back, or I took the fish off the front, but the back is just so smooth and pretty that that's what I'm going to use. I'm pointing to the holes there because I'm not going to have to worry about them because they will be covered first with glue and then with burlap. I could not decide a color for the background for the Harvest Wishes words. So I decided to use burlap because the fabric and the color just reminds me of, you know, cooler days, like late October breezes. I'm thinking back to my days growing up in Canada when I was thinking of this. So what I did, since I didn't have any Mod Podge, is wet my brush with water and use the wet brush to spread the glue. Now, Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure actually mixes hers up ahead of time and uses Aleene's tacky glue and water. What I used here was just the regular school glue, Elmer's school glue, and the damp brush. And then I'm coming back and making sure all the edges are fixed or adhered. And once I'm happy that the glue is all the way to the edges, I'm going to set it aside to dry. And now it'll be time to do the words. So I put, you saw me putting tape on the back there, and that's where the holes are. And what I'm trying to do is get some paint to pool in that area so the holes won't be as noticeable, because I don't have anything to fill them up with. So this is a cool brush. It is not smooth. The bristles leave marks, but I like that. Like, it's a nice brush. It's just bristly, and I love the look it gives the color on this wood. And I don't think I show it, but I also do just the slightest distress of burnt umber on the edges after I'm all done. But for now here, I'm just, I think I did 2 coats, and then on the second coat, I filled in the leaf in the corner there. And then I have this acrylic paint, I think it's blood orange, and I just put a few drops in with my yellow there and moved it around, and I didn't mix it or anything. I just kind of left it together because that's what fall leaves look like anyway. And I'm just slowly filling in the leaf, starting from the edges and the corners and working my way in. And that chalk paint, that yellow, is actually called mustard yellow. So you don't want like a bright spring yellow or something summery. This mustard yellow just has a really nice fall feel to it. After I get all the orange in the way I want it, I'm going to take a smaller brush with that burnt umber and draw some lines or veins in the leaf. And I'm holding a coaster that my mom made for me. It's like some kind of cross stitch on plastic canvas, and I liked the way the lines were in it, so I used that as a guide to do the lines on my sign. Okay, so I set everything down, took a break, came back when everything was good and dry, and trimmed the burlap. It wasn't like 100% straight, but that's okay because I wanted to pull on the edges and make some frays. So I used regular scissors, detail scissors for the little indentions on the corners there, and then just with my fingers pulled some frays. And that's just a fall thing to me. It reminds me of like scarves and jackets and things. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some wood glue on the wood words, because that's what we're all about in this video, right? We're doing our wood words. And I'm going to let that sit for a bit, actually, because I remembered I have to do the leaves before I put the wood down. And I'm actually doing the same with the leaves. I'm doing some wood glue first, and then I'll finish off with some hot glue and just press it down good on the 3 corners there. And of course we're leaving the other corner bare because that's where the leaf is in our sign. So each leaf gets the same treatment. Then I go back to the words and get the hot glue in there. And as I'm eyeballing it, I decide to bring it down near the bottom a little bit because there's just like a perfect spot for a bow right there. And I made that bow using the awareness ribbon shape, scrunching it together and then tying it with some Dollar Tree jute twine. And that's pretty much it. We're going to do a hanging rope on the back here. I use knots to glue it down, and then I used some straps or strips of burlap to reinforce it. I'm going to flip it over in a second and show you what it looks like on the front, and then I will also give you a better look at it at the final reveal. Okay, so I'm calling project number 3 a fall color sign. I'm going to start with this this broken Easter sign that I just had shoved behind my craft totes. And then I have some Dollar Tree leaves, Amazon letters, and then a variety of chalk paints. So I'm going to remove the sign there, and right off the bat, great big huge gouge. And so I thought, well, okay, I normally use the back, but I can do this. I can use the front. So I spent some time trying to remove the paper. I tried sanding it. I tried peeling it. I tried using my utility knife, tried cutting it off. In the end, I just sort of sucked it up and thought, okay, I'm just going to dry it off here on the back, and where the gouge is, just sanded it as best as I could, and then hoped that the paint colors and the letters would make it less visible. And I forget what color this paint is, but I will leave all the colors in my description box below. I chose this as a stake color. I hadn't used it yet. It was a brand new color, so I broke it open for this particular project. I don't know why I only painted one side. Dollar Tree only painted one side, so I just painted the side that they painted, and I'm not quite sure why I did that. But once I was all done, I took the same brush without rinsing it and dipped it in some chocolate brown paint, and then painted the top part of the sign. That's going to be the welcome part of the sign. And I like to do this. I like to keep the color on my brush and then sort of get it sort of splashed everywhere and then finish painting, and then that way I have that cool color in all parts of the sign. Now I do a couple spritz of water on my chalk paint. I just find it glides easier. So now I'm doing the leaves. I chose 4 different colors, hence fall colors. I believe that was celery. This is salmon. And they took one coat of paint pretty good, and then maybe like 1.5 coats, because some of them needed a little bit of a touch-up, but they would have been fine without the touch-up. That was just me being fussy. This is mustard yellow. And then the last one, I believe, is called Castle. Painting away. And you notice my little trick? I don't know if everybody does this, but a lot of times if I'm only painting something small, I'll just use the paint in the lid, or I'll pour some paint into the lid. So I took a break, let everything dry, and then I came back and started fussing around with the letters. Some of them I had to choose a different letter and cut it to form the letter that I wanted. Not an uncommon practice. I don't show this, but I actually affixed the welcome sign and the leaves with some wood glue and one heavy duty staple. So one staple per leaf and one staple for the sign. And here I am just fussing around trying to figure out the order of the colors. And I kind of left this in because I thought it was funny. All right, so once they're stapled down, I put the letters right on top of the staple. That's the only reason the letters are where they are, is to hide the staple. So if they seem a little wonky, that's why. But I think they look good. They're not perfectly centered, but nothing in nature usually is. So we'll go with that. Finishing up with some shoestring bows on the top of the leaves to hide those holes. And I'll give you a better look at this at the final reveal. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. See you soon.